Today, we're going to start by talking about Kaiir Elam, who recently declared for the draft. Then we'll take a look at the Florida Gators in the NFL, who've had their season ended, some of them, not all of them. And we'll wrap up by recapping the Florida Gators women's basketball game against Texas A&M from this Sunday. It was a great one if you did miss it, only here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Sonos. Experience the game like never before with Sonos Arc, the premium smart soundbar for TV, movies, music, gaming, sports, and more. Visit Sonos.com to learn more. Happy Tuesday. I am Brandon Olson. You can find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. I'm also the founder of Whole9Sports.com, where you can find all of my written work. And we're going to get right into it again. The big news today. Kaiir Elam, on yesterday, at the time of recording today, Kaiir Elam, the Florida Gators cornerback, who is very well liked and very well respected, very well loved in the draft community. Of course, his dad is Abram Elam, who had, I believe, an 11-year NFL career. Matt Elam is his uncle. Of course, he was a Florida Gators safety. He was drafted in the first round by the Baltimore Ravens. It didn't work out so well, but hey, who cares? This is Locked On Gators, not Locked On Ravens. Take it up with those guys. But Kaiir Elam has declared for the draft, and I know that we kind of discussed it. I believe it was last week, Thursday's episode, that where maybe Kaiir Elam comes back to Gainesville. Wasn't super likely seeming, but it was something that was being discussed and rumored to going around that he was considering coming back to Gainesville, primarily because going into the year, he was thought of as a first-round corner with the potential to become corner one with a strong year. He dealt with injuries throughout the season, and I'm not just talking about when he missed games. Even while he was healthy, he was playing through injuries for the most part. It was just a terrible defensive year for the Florida Gators. Scheme was awful. Coaching was awful. And so it was like, hey, maybe he comes back for one more year with more reliable, more consistent coaching and sturdier position, stabilized coaching, whatever you want to call it, with a just better situation. And if he stays healthy, puts another good year on film, goes to the NFL, he could be a very high draft pick in the NFL. But he is going pro. It does seem like that's a smarter choice for him because you just dealt with injuries. You know there is no guarantee that you will be healthier this coming season and be healthier for the next NFL draft in 2023. So just go pro. That is what happened. It would have been awesome to get him back in Gainesville, but c'est la vie. That's where we're at now. I was talking to a few NFL draft analysts I know, and I was talking about Kaiir Elam once he declared. They're like, all right, what's the big difference with him from 2020 to 2021 on film? And the thing is, yeah, he was great in 2020. Yeah, he was great when healthy in 2021. But I feel like he is one of those players that Todd Grantham really, really hurt. I feel like Kaiir Elam was one of the bigger people to get kind of neglected by the coaching staff. And I feel like I was waiting for Kaiir Elam to take a next step. He has all of the physical tools. He's got the skill. He's got technique. I was just looking for him to do it again and to improve on that. And he didn't really take those next steps. He didn't get worse at all. He just didn't take those next steps, and injury was hampering him the whole time. So I think we were really just missing that next step. I still think that I would take him in the mid-late first round. I think he's going to go sometime in the second round, maybe very early third or very late first. But I think second round is his wheelhouse right now with the injury questions. And the consistency he's put on tape, though, is there. Statistically, Kaiir Elam, when he was healthy, played fantastic. In 359 coverage snaps this season, he got targeted 36 times, basically once every 10 coverage snaps. He allowed 19 catches for 191 yards, so basically 10 yards per catch, with 2 touchdowns, and he had an interception and 3 passes broken up. The Alabama game was fantastic for Kaiir Elam. That was, he went against an elite wide receiver group and only allowed 2 catches for 36 yards and a touchdown. And I still have an issue, kind of holding that touchdown against him, because that was on the Jaleel Billingsley wheel route up the sideline that I think shouldn't have been put on him. I believe he was just the closest defender, and that's why I got pinned on him. But if I'm not mistaken, that play is where trading him flying downhill. There was a pick play. Kaiir Elam kind of had to go, hey, who do I cover in this play? He didn't pick Jaleel Billingsley. Jaleel Billingsley scored, and Kaiir Elam got listed with it, which is very irritating and very annoying. I will stand by the fact that Kaiir Elam did not give up that touchdown, despite what the stats say. I think he had a fantastic game. He also had 4 games this season where he did not allow a single completion. The South Florida game, Georgia game, the South Carolina game, back-to-back, by the way. Georgia and South Carolina were back-to-back for him. And the let me try this. And the Gasparilla Bowl versus UCF. I almost said Gasparilla. Gasparilla Bowl versus UCF, where he again did not allow a completion. Georgia and South Carolina, he didn't even get targeted. So it's like it's telling that Georgia and South Carolina, both teams with very good coaching staffs, did not target the very good defender in the passing game when they threw the ball. They knew to throw away from him. So that just kind of goes to show, you're that much better, because the rest of the secondary isn't bad by any stretch. I don't care what the comments say about Trey Dean, Rashad Torrance, Avery Helm, Jason Marshall Jr. I don't care what you guys say, Travis Johnson. I don't care. Keep it to yourself if that's. I genuinely don't care. I think that the secondary was very good. It was just an ugly scheme, a bad scheme, and it just didn't work out. Kaiir Elam is going to make an NFL team very, very happy this year, and hopefully, if he stays healthy and can continue developing for a very long time, not just this year. So Kaiir Elam gone from Gainesville. We're going to talk about that, as the off season goes on. We'll talk about all the declarations. That is what I'm waiting for. Every final declaration to know who is leaving Florida and who is coming back. So once that happens, we'll get into in depth on who's next. But hey, Gators fans, I am here with an incredible app. If you buy gas, you need to know about it. It's Get Upside. My listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use promo code SCORE, that is SCORE, to get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back per gallon. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Just download the app for free and use promo code SCORE to get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back. Fun words there on your first tank. Make sure to do it when you're running on E and fill it up and maximize it, because there are some people making literally hundreds of dollars per month on this. So make sure to download the free Get Upside app and use promo code SCORE to get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back on your first tank. Now, as promised, we're going to take a look at some Florida Gators in the NFL. I got a list of 4 Florida Gators to talk about. Some Florida Gators that are in the NFL. Their season is over. Fun stuff. It's 2 Falcons, 1 Lion, 1 Saint. So you can kind of piece it together for the most part. I guess Falcons could be a question mark because there's 3 Falcons. But yeah, who cares? Whatever. We're going to go into some of them, though. Kyle Pitts is obviously the first one. He was the headliner. He was the main event of the Florida Gators draft class this past season. Finished the year with 68 catches for 1,026 yards and one touchdown on 107 targets. That sucks, because he was about going into the final game. He was, I believe it was 57 yards away from setting the record for rookie receiving yards. Rookie tight end receiving yards, but that was set by Mike Ditka. That obviously did not happen. kind of upset about it still. Just with Kyle Pitts, it's weird. I'm also disappointed that we didn't get a rush from him, by the way. I know prior to the season, I was like, oh, what are some predictions? And I was like, I'm predicting that Kyle Pitts will have a rush this year. He did not have a rush. I thought he'd get it in week 1. I just thought that Arthur Smith would just go nuts with it. Kyle Pitts did not get a carry. It was very weird to me, considering that Arthur Smith ran the ball with Jonnu Smith. And it's like, well, Kyle Pitts is kind of more athletic in just about every way, but whatever. The talent is clearly there for Kyle Pitts. It has been the whole time. It's just more about the, I think, supporting cast around him. You look at quarterbacks, Matt Ryan. He's going to be here next year. At least that's what we're expecting. Matt Ryan will be there next year. Matt Ryan is still, he gets a lot of flack. I get it that there's a lot of Bucs fans here. Matt Ryan gets a lot of flack that's undeserved. He's been very consistent for a very long time. And He's not mobile. He's not the modern day NFL quarterback, but hey, he's still here. So go Boomer, I guess. But getting Matt Ryan more time in the pocket with the offensive line improving, the run game improving because the offensive line improves, run game obviously overperformed with guys like Cordarrelle Patterson really breaking out. But having other receiving weapons around Kyle Pitts as well will help open him up. Cordarrelle Patterson was kind of the guy aside from Kyle Pitts, and no Calvin Ridley because he took time off to focus on his mental health, which is a great thing to do. But like Kyle Pitts, he would benefit from being on the same field as someone like Julio Jones. Like if the Falcons somehow, I know that it would never happen, but if the Falcons were to somehow have Julio Jones on the roster, working opposite Kyle Pitts would be amazing. It'd be insane because imagine with Patterson, Julio, and Pitts, you couldn't guard it. But again, that would never happen. Julio's a Titan, always been a Titan, will always be a Titan forever, obviously. Next up is Dante Fowler Jr. I'm staying in Atlanta for this one. Fowler was a big-time draft pick by the Jaguars in 2015, and then he got injured in his first rookie mini camp, which, if I'm not mistaken, tore his ACL on a pass rushing drill that wasn't padded at all. It was just one of those freak things that happened. So career got off to a rough start. He never really reached his expectations after that. Dante Fowler Jr. did have 30 pressures this year, which is the same number that he had in 2020. But the big difference between Dante Fowler's pressures last year and this year is that this year he did it on about 100 less snaps played and about 80 less pass rushing reps. So Dante Fowler Jr. made more with less. So that's something that's big to look at here. When you go, Dante Fowler got better per snap, and that's huge and cannot be spoken about enough. He's obviously not the guy that people thought he'd be when he got drafted. I want to say top 6 by the Jaguars in 2015, but he's significantly improved. He's significantly improved as a run defender as well. I don't think that could be overlooked, that he has just gotten so much better as a run defender. He's obviously improved a bit as a pass rusher. He may never live up to his initial hype, but he's become a legit contributor in the NFL, and that's all you can ask for, especially when you look at a free agent signing. I get who's kind of paid like he should be a premier pass rusher. Never say never, but for the rest of the team to come together. And also it's important to consider that, he wasn't on a great defense. It's not like Dante Fowler Jr. probably shouldn't be your premier pass rusher. Maybe in the draft, who knows? The Falcons are just impossible to predict with pass rushers. Look at Vic Beasley. It was just yikes. Alex Anzalone's the next Gator we're going to talk about. Alex Anzalone got off to a rough start this year. Anzalone allowed 115 receiving yards when he was targeted in coverage in the first 3 games with the Detroit Lions this year. So less than stellar, you could say that. But Jamie Collins then left the Detroit Lions, and something clicked with Alex Anzalone once Jamie Collins was gone. Alex Anzalone, again, in the first 3 games of the season, allowed 115 receiving yards when he was in coverage. For the rest of the season, he allowed just 167 passing yards combined when he was in coverage. Alex Anzalone played the most snaps of his career by a massive margin, which is big because Alex Anzalone is someone who, dating back to college, has struggled significantly and struggled mightily with injury. He's always been someone who it's he can perform, but can he stay healthy? Can he stay on the field? Can he do this? Can he do that? Can he do this over an extended period of time? That's always been the question, and the answer has always been no until this year when Alex Anzalone stayed pretty healthy for the most part. So he was a key contributor for a defense that outperformed expectations by an insane margin. And I hopefully we'll see Alex Anzalone take those next steps as a defender overall. Would like to see him clean up his run defense, but pass coverage was very good after the start of the year. That was just absolutely horrid. He was on pace to give up over 1,000 yards this season as a linebacker, and that is completely awful. I don't even know if anybody gave up 1,000 yards in coverage this year, but Alex Anzalone was on pace too early on and then finished giving up less than 300 on the season. So just an insane year from him and an insane bounce back after Jamie Collins departed the Detroit Lions. The final player to talk about, the final Gator in the NFL that we're going to talk about. I know a lot of you guys hate him. Josh Gardner. I know you hate him. I get it. But I'm going to talk about him because I love him. I think he's amazing, and I think he's one of the most entertaining football players in the NFL, one of the most entertaining football players that I've seen in a very long time, and one of the most entertaining defenders that we've seen in a very long time. Obviously, it's a very offense-oriented league. Receivers get to do their little dances, and they get to do all these things. But then you got someone who's going to go up to, I think undoubtedly, I'm not going to argue it, the greatest quarterback of all time. And he goes up to the greatest quarterback of all time and he goes, and I just can't get over how baller that was. It is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He's a freak. Spent a short amount of the time being banged up this year. He was a key piece in keeping Kyle Pitts from breaking the NFL rookie title and receiving yards record, which it peeved me a little bit. You couldn't just like blow coverage for a second just to let Kyle Pitts get the record. Like, just rude. Like, let your dogs eat. He had that iconic picture of him posing against Tom Brady, talking that talk and forcing turnovers this year. He was inconsistent, I'll say. It wasn't an amazing year statistically, whether in coverage or against the run. But he still did his thing. He still made plays. He made a lot of plays as well. But he struggled in that first Buccaneers game. They got him good in the first Buccaneers game. You look at, it was the Dolphins game also a few weeks ago on Monday Night Football. Wasn't great for him. But I mean, that was a rough game in general because the defense was on the field so much because Ian Book was the starting quarterback. So that one just sucked. But he's continued to show flashes and he's continued to show the potential to be a top nickel defender in the NFL. And I honestly, I think next year might be, well, this coming year might be the year where we see Chauncey Gardner-Johnson take that next step and become a truly elite nickel defender, because I already think he's right. I think he's like tier 3 right now. And, tier 1's elite, tier 2 is just below it, and tier 3 is very good. But I think he's going to get to that next level, honestly, the next 2 levels in this coming season, especially once the team is healthy, not COVID, everything. I know the Saints set a record for most starters they had start the season because COVID killed them and injuries killed them. But hopefully Chauncey Gardner-Johnson next year will be your year. Anybody else make money this weekend? I know I did, actually. Thank you. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your sports action. Obviously, Florida, you have done me so dirty this year in every sport. I want you to know I'm fed up with you, and if you want fisticuffs, we can do it. Never mind. I'm very skinny compared to any of the athletes on any of the Florida Gators teams just throughout. BetOnline even covers award shows, TV shows, reality TV, the Brazilian presidential election with real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. It's the best way to place your, and it's 100% free to sign up. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Make sure to use promo code LOCKEDON. That is LOCKED, no space, ON. Now we're going to wrap up today's show by talking about the Florida Gators women's basketball team against the Texas A&M against the number 25 Texas A&M women's basketball team. And I have a pun. I'm warning you because I know a lot of you guys hate my puns. I have a pun that I'm bringing out here. Zippy brought it. Okay, I'm gonna let you know that right now. The game went into double overtime, where the Florida Gators did knock off the number 25. The soon-to-be former number 25 Texas A&M Aggies, 97-89. The Gators were without Lavender Briggs, and my word, that didn't matter at all because Zippy Broughton showed up to play. Zippy Broughton scored 28 points on 10 of 19 shooting with 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 4 steals. She was doing it all. We had 2 real legitimate stat sheet stuffers on the court on Sunday in Zippy Broughton and Kiki Smith, who I've said is basically Russell Westbrook at this point. Kiki Smith had 27 points on 9 for 15 shooting, which, by the way, Russell Westbrook wishes he could shoot that efficiently. But Kiki Smith had 27 points on 9 of 15 shooting, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and a steal. She is continuing her stat sheet stuffing ways. Faith Dute and Nina Rickards were both starters, of course. They shot a combined 0 for 8, so that was not amazing there. But yeah, the other starter, of course, because we had Kiki Smith, Zippy Broughton, Jordan Merritt was the third starter, and then Nina Rickards and Faith Dude. Nina Rickards and Faith Dude shot a combined 0 for 8 and combined for 1 point in the win. Rebounding wise, great, good for y'all. But scoring wise was not it. Nina Rickards only played 17 minutes, and that was it for her. And special, which is noteworthy considering Kiki Smith played 48 and she was another starter. So Nina Rickards. It was over for her. She's had a very rough go of things this year. Emanuele J. Oliveira had 9 points and 6 rebounds. As she's really started to come into her own lately. And I know that this isn't how things go in college sports. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Emanuele J. Oliveira take Nina Rickards' spot, obviously not as the guard, but see her slide into another big woman spot and just play bully basketball. I think that'd be amazing. Like Zippy Broughton, Jordan Merritt, Lavender Briggs. If you're gonna start, all three of them, go ahead, go nuts. Why not? Or actually, not even, because then you got Kiki Smith is out. So yeah, I don't even know what to do. Good luck. That's the best issue you can have in basketball, is that you have too many talented contributors. So Florida Gators women's basketball team, go ahead with it. Do whatever you want. Coach Finley, I'm not going to doubt you. The Gators never gave A&M a chance to really get into a rhythm offensively. They kept the Aggies shooting under 43% from the field and just 4 for 11 from 3. The Gators shot 13 for 30 from 3. The Gators shot better from 3 than the Texas A&M Aggies shot from the field. So that is just amazing. The Gators, it was probably their most aggressive 3-point shooting game this season. Jordan Merritt shot 5 for 8 from 3, and she was on her way to 17 points. Zippy Broughton shot 3 for 6 from 3. And I know that I spoke about this with other people before, and they were like, oh, yeah, obviously it was their most, obviously they would have the most threes and they'd be more aggressive shooting from 3. It went into double overtime. No, they shot a combined 2 for 4 from 3 in both overtime periods combined. So that's still 11 for 26 from 3 in regulation. So again, no, they only shot 4 3-pointers in the double overtime periods. The Gators dominated at the free throw line, which is something that we haven't really seen and we don't see a lot in college basketball. But the Gators shot 16 for 23 from the free throw line, including 11 for 14 in the double overtime periods combined, as in both overtime periods, especially that second overtime period. It was obviously Texas A&M needed the foul. Florida was just Rain Man from the free throw line. The Gators team here, they're starting to put it together. We can't say this for the men's basketball team, but we can say this for the women's basketball team. They're starting to put it together. You can see it. You've seen all season. There were players on this team that can put it together. And there was a team here where they want to win these games, but it was like, can they put it together? Coach Finley has them putting it together. The Gators team, they're starting to put it together without Lavender Briggs right now. So they're starting to put it together, whether it's the starters going off, the bench going off. We just need things to click more consistently, and this team can be phenomenal. The Gators' next game is Thursday, January 13th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time against Auburn. Hopefully, their game will go better than the men's basketball game did against Auburn. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't miss out tomorrow, as we'll get to the latest with the Florida Gators football team, I'm sure. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets your daily one-stop shop for all of your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. For Locked On Gators, I am Brandon Olson. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. I'm also the founder of WholeNineSports.com, where you can find all of my written work. That is WHOLENINE Sports. And I will see you all tomorrow.